You watch him walk away again, and that familiar ache settles in your chest, the one where you know you deserve better. Yet here you are, replaying every conversation, analyzing every text, wondering what you could have done differently. Your friends say you're too smart for this, too successful, too aware. But intelligence has nothing to do with it. And that's the part nobody wants to tell you. The myth that smart women don't fall for toxic men is perhaps the most dangerous lie we've been fed. Because while you're busy being brilliant at work, excelling in your career, managing your life with precision, there's a blind spot in your emotional wiring that predators can see from miles away. They don't target weak women, they target strong ones. And the reason is far more calculated than you think. High-achieving women make the best victims for emotionally unavailable men because you bring something to the table that feeds their ego in ways other women can't. You're a prize. You're proof of their power. When a man can make a successful, intelligent, beautiful woman question her own worth, he feels invincible. Your strength becomes his drug, and your confusion becomes his control. Here's what actually happens in your brain when you meet him. Your intelligence, that same intelligence that helps you solve complex problems and navigate difficult situations, becomes a weapon against you. Because smart women don't just feel attraction, they intellectualize it. You create narratives. You find patterns. You convince yourself there's a logical reason for his behavior. When he goes cold, you don't think he's disinterested. You think he's scared of how much he feels. When he criticizes you, you don't think he's abusive. You think he's challenging you to grow. When he disappears, you don't think he's playing games. You think he's dealing with something deep. Your intelligence helps you build elaborate stories that explain away red flags. And the more intelligent you are, the more convincing these stories become. You're not being stupid. You're being smart in the wrong direction. The men who target you know exactly what they're doing. They study you in the beginning. They watch how you light up when you talk about your work. They notice how you take care of everyone around you. They see that you're competent, responsible, capable. And then they become the one thing you can't fix. They become your weakness disguised as a project. Because women like you don't walk away from challenges. You solve them. You've spent your entire life proving you can handle anything. So when a relationship gets difficult, your instinct isn't to leave, it's to try harder. That's the trap. He doesn't need to be good to you. He just needs to be broken enough that you think you can heal him. And the moment you start trying to save him, you've already lost yourself. Your empathy, that beautiful quality that makes you caring and understanding, becomes the entry point for manipulation. When he tells you about his difficult childhood, his crazy ex, his trust issues, you don't see manipulation, you see a wounded person who needs understanding. Your nurturing instinct kicks in. You think if you just love him enough, patient enough, understanding enough, he'll finally feel safe to open up. But here's what's really happening. He's not sharing his vulnerabilities to create intimacy. He's sharing them to create immunity. Now, when he treats you badly, you can't be angry because you understand why he's like this. When he hurts you, you can't leave because you're the only one who really knows him. He's turned your compassion into a cage, and you're the one who locked the door. The intermittent reinforcement he provides keeps you hooked better than any drug. Psychologically, unpredictable rewards create stronger addiction than consistent ones. When he's amazing 10% of the time and terrible the other 90%, your brain doesn't average it out. It fixates on that 10% and keeps chasing it. Every time he comes back after pulling away, every time he's sweet after being cruel, every time he gives you attention after ignoring you, your brain releases dopamine like you've won the lottery. You're not crazy for staying. Your neurochemistry is being hijacked. This is the same mechanism that keeps people pulling slot machine levers. The unpredictability is the addiction. If he was consistently terrible, you'd leave. If he was consistently wonderful, you'd relax. But this back and forth keeps your nervous system in a constant state of activation, and your trauma-bonded brain interprets this intensity as love. You stay because leaving feels like failure, and women like you don't fail. You've succeeded at everything else in your life. Your career, your education, your friendships, your family relationships. But this one thing, this one man, represents the challenge you can't conquer. And the more you invest, the harder it becomes to walk away, because walking away means admitting you were wrong. It means admitting you wasted time. It means admitting that all your intelligence, all your capability, all your strength wasn't enough. That's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of his emptiness. You can't fill a cup that has no bottom. You can't love someone into loving you back. You can't think your way out of emotional manipulation. And the sooner you accept that this isn't a puzzle you can solve, the sooner you can free yourself. The really dark part is that your self-awareness makes it worse, not better. You probably read the articles. You know the signs of narcissism. You can spot manipulation. You understand trauma bonding. But knowing doesn't protect you because he knows you know. Modern emotionally manipulative men have evolved. They've read the same articles you have. They know the language of therapy. They can talk about their attachment style and their triggers and their boundaries. They weaponize self-awareness. They apologize perfectly. They admit their flaws in ways that sound like growth. They make you think this time is different because he's aware now. But awareness without change is just better manipulation. He's not becoming a better person. He's becoming a better actor. And you, with all your intelligence, keep giving him chances because you believe people can change. Sometimes they can, but only if they want to. And if his actions don't match his words mean nothing. There's a specific type of man who seeks out strong women to diminish. He needs you to be impressive so that breaking you down feels like an accomplishment. In the beginning, he loves your success. He brags about you. He tells everyone how amazing you are. But slowly, subtly, he starts to criticize. Your achievements become threats. Your independence becomes selfishness. Your confidence becomes arrogance. He needs you strong enough to validate him, but weak enough to control. This is why he builds you up, just to tear you down. The goal isn't to destroy you completely. The goal is to keep you in a cycle where you need his approval to feel valuable, where his opinion of you matters more than your own, where you're constantly trying to prove you're worthy of the love he promised, but never consistently delivers. Your pattern probably started earlier than you think. Maybe you had a parent who was inconsistent with affection. Maybe you learned early that love had to be earned. Maybe you grew up feeling like you had to be perfect to be worthy. So now, as an adult, you're attracted to situations that feel familiar. Not because you want to suffer, but because your nervous system recognizes the pattern. This feels like home. The anxiety, the uncertainty, the constant trying, it's uncomfortable, but it's known. And humans choose known discomfort over unknown peace almost every time. Breaking this cycle isn't about finding a better man. It's about becoming a woman who no longer finds unavailability attractive. It's about rewiring your system so that consistency feels exciting and chaos feels boring. It's about learning that real love doesn't require you to suffer, sacrifice, or shrink yourself to receive it. The exit is harder than you imagine because by the time you realize you need to leave, you're not the same person who entered. He's systematically dismantled your confidence, isolated you from support systems, and made you doubt your own perception of reality. You question whether you're overreacting. You wonder if you're the problem. You think maybe if you were just easier, more understanding, less demanding, things would be better. This is what psychological abuse does. It makes you blame yourself for someone else's cruelty. But the moment you recognize that pattern, you take the first step toward freedom. You don't need to understand why he is the way he is. You don't need closure. You don't need a final conversation where he suddenly sees the light and admits everything. You need to decide that your peace matters more than his potential. Rebuilding after this kind of relationship means grieving who you thought he was, not who he actually was. You're not mourning the person who hurt you. You're mourning the illusion, the potential, the person he pretended to be in the beginning. And that grief is real and valid. Give yourself permission to feel it without going back. Going back won't give you the closure you're seeking. It will only restart the cycle. The closure comes from you, not from him. It comes from understanding that you're not broken for having loved someone who couldn't love you back properly. You're human. And now you're a human with more information, more boundaries, and more respect for your own worth. If you found yourself in this video, you're not alone, and you're not weak. You're a smart woman who fell for a calculated trap. Subscribe to this channel because we're going to keep unpacking these patterns, exposing these tactics, and helping you build the kind of discernment that protects your peace. Hit that subscribe button because the women in this community understand what you've been through, and we're all here learning how to choose differently.